We're joined this evening by Dr. Sean O'Donnell, who's giving a talk in the Harbour Hotel called The Mystery of Time and Coincidence. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us, Dr. O'Donnell. I suppose, firstly, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, well, I came to Galway when I was 17, got a scholarship here to do it through Irish, you see. Got my BSc, Chemistry, Physics, MSc. Then I went to Edinburgh and got my PhD in very short order, might I add, 2 years. And then I was a junior lecturer in Galway, I suppose on the ramp to be a professor, but I published about 11 papers, and then I left because chemistry was not for me, you see. And among other things then, I was science correspondent for the Irish Press Group for 17 years. I got involved after leaving college in the study of time. That's the great challenge. It was only starting in the 60s, and it has not progressed much since, as maybe we'll hear tonight, you see. Time is the great riddle behind everything, universal, you see, and it's also that about which science knows least. In fact, it knows nothing at all, really. They're still arguing about it, much as they did 3,000, 2,000 and a half years ago. And that's what I'm proposed to talk about a little bit anyway.
Now, you've said yourself that there's been very little research in the area of time. Why do you think that is?
It's due to the learning baby, apparently. That's one good reason, anyway. Newborn babies arrive quite cognizant of space. They can grasp and reach out. But if you think of yourself, even the first 2 years, you don't remember anything. You have learned about space before time. And the strange thing is, science ever after has followed the same track. And so Euclid, way back 300 BC, laid out the laws of geometry, that's space, but there are no laws of time. Einstein had a stab at it, but he had to stop at a certain stage. And that's why there is no science of time. There's a science of every other little speciality under the sun, but not one on the big one. Reality consists of matter, you see, like that table, displayed in space, a certain space, and time. We know a lot about matter because of chemistry, we know a lot about space because of physics and stuff. We know nothing about time.
Now, you seem to be pushing the research, if I could go that far, and you have invented a couple of terms. Now, the one I'm particularly interested in is pre-call. So if you could just explain that briefly.
Recall, to call is to summon. Summon back your ambassadors, recall them from Iraq or whatever. In the case of mind, is to summon back to mind some representation of what you see. To pre-call would be to summon to mind beforehand instead of later. It's what they call, it's a very summarizing word, makes things very simple. There's no need for big long theories or anything else about it. And the other one is anti-memory. That's my these were never, believe it or not, put in the thing before. Anti is a scientific word for opposite. These things would be the opposite of memory, and they are, because I have looked into it. Another word I brought in, you might be interested in, is chronoculture. Culture is the sum of society's attitudes, beliefs, and practices towards politics, shall we say. Chronoculture is their attitudes towards time. That word is already in use, but only in archaeology, like the chronoculture date Newgrange.
Okay.
But no, this is now in the terms of society's attitude to time. I'd be talking about that tonight. Give it one of the slides.
Going back to pre-call there, do you think any one person or one type of person might be more susceptible to pre-call?
Absolutely. It only occurs in a low noise mind state. Low noise is when you have nothing to worry you, nobody harassing you, all is well with the world. You know that old phrase. Those people would have experienced lots of little pre-calls. They call them coincidence. Whereas if you're a harried stockbroker, shall we say, on Wall Street, he's very unlikely to get any pre-calls. It's a low noise mind state. One last thing might be, there's an old Victorian poem by a fellow called Dobson, a little couplet. You say time passes, 'tis not so. Time stays, alas, 'tis you that go.